It's time for your Low Country Real Estate Market Update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks for joining me this morning as we talk about real estate here in the Low Country. If this is your first time tuning into this program, we talk about all things real estate on this program. Whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, you just like learning more about the industry and kind of what's exciting about our housing market. It's a very hot topic in today's news and headlines. And so I like to try and separate some of the buzz and some of the excitement from the facts and differentiating that so that when it comes time for you to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, you're an informed consumer. You can use this information to your advantage and hopefully get a good deal on the home you sell or the house you buy or the home you invest in. So that's the premise of the show. I am live this morning, Saturday, here to take your calls. The number here in the studio, if you have a question, comment, story you'd like to share, is 843-345-1273. That's 843-556-1250 is the number here in the studio. 556-1250 number here in the studio. That number I just gave you, the 345-1273, is my cell phone. You want to have a conversation off air about your real estate interests, needs, concerns, interest in buying, selling, investing in real estate. Give me a call on that number, the 345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com, and I'll be happy to help you in any way, shape, or form. If you go on that website, you can learn more about me and my team, my process, homes we've sold. You can also learn more about our 2.4% listing commission, which we're going to go ahead and continue. You know, we're helping a lot of people save a lot of money on the listing side of things when they go to sell their home. And then I've also got that local lender that I've partnered with that will pay up to 1% of the purchase price, not to exceed $5,000, toward closing costs for the buyer for your home, if you're a seller, or for your home when you buy it, when you're a buyer. So all kinds of fun ways to save you money. Give me a call if you want more information on any of that, 345-1273. But again, the number here in the studio, sorry for the confusing amount of phone numbers here this morning, 843-556-1250 is the number here in the studio. So let me give you guys an idea of what I want to talk about this morning. I do have a lot of ground to cover, and I know I say that every weekend. Maybe I just get a little too excited for this radio show because I think at times it's a little therapeutic for me to come on here and just talk about the market and talk about what's going on because we're starting to see a little bit of a shift, quite honestly, in some of these different markets. And I know that nationally we're starting to see it. So what I first want to talk about this morning is the national real estate market. You know, what's going on nationally? We do know, based on a report from Post and Courier a little while ago, that we've got 32 new people moving here every day. When you couple that with the 11 new births that we have every day, we've got 43 new people being added to Charleston. Now, the 32 people that move here, they're coming from somewhere else. So I think it does make sense that we kind of expand a little bit on what we talk about on this program and have it not just be about Charleston. Let's understand some of the numbers that drive the U.S. real estate market, which are things like pricing, sales, month supply of inventory, mortgage rates. What's keeping those mortgage rates down, you know, GDP, inflation, unemployment, so on and so forth. We're really just kind of talk about that first. A little later on in the program, we're going to talk about some of the advancements that we've seen in technology and in the processes that we as real estate agents and that you as consumers use when it comes time for you to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. There's some really awesome and frankly, I think there are some things that I'm going to tell you guys that it's going to freak you out a little bit. Quite honestly, I know when I sit down and I talk with somebody about some of the tools that I use and how incredibly advanced it has become, they're like, whoa. They feel like their information isn't safe, and for the most part, it kind of isn't anymore. But we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about appraisals. You know, it's becoming more and more of an issue, which is natural. It happens when you've got markets that continue to escalate very quickly in terms of the sales price, and there's just not a ton of inventory out there to justify that price. So we're going to talk about all of that here over the next hour. But again, if you have a question or a story or a comment, please stop me along the way. I'd love to have a chat with you. The number here is 843-556-1250. So let's talk about the national real estate market just for a little while, just so you guys have an understanding of what's going on and what I'm going to tell you on this program, which is that I do believe at some point in the near future, we will start to experience signs of a shifting market. So let's first talk about home sales. You know, if you look at the amount of homes that we are selling, we are on pace right now for another post-crisis record. You have to look at kind of what's happened over the past several months. Obviously, nationwide, the difference between January and June is fairly dramatic. As of June of this year, on an annualized basis, of course, we're looking at about 5.6 million home sales a year in this nation. Now, in 2015, it was 5.3. In 2012, it was right around 5. At the height of the market in 2005, it was 6.2 million. So we are very quickly approaching the same level of closings that we had at the height of the market, pre-market crash. Now, if you look at home prices, this is where it becomes pretty interesting. We are on pace this year for about a $235,000 median sales price nationally. That would be the highest in recorded history. We actually tied the record last year when we were at $222,000 as the median sales price. That was back in 06. Now, $235,000, we are the highest price for median sales prices in history. Now let's look at the month's supply of inventory. And I've been talking about this for a long time on this program. We have to look at the inventory that's available versus the sales and the listings that are hitting the market and figure out, are we a balanced market? Are we a buyer's market? Are we a seller's market? It's fairly clear over the past several years at this point that Charleston especially has been a seller's market. There is more demand for homes than there are homes available to be purchased. That's what's causing those prices to go up so quickly. So if you look at the month supply of inventory nationally, we're at 4.6 months. Nationally, we are a seller's market by about a month and a half. And so you think about all those people that are moving here from somewhere else. In some instances, they're not having much of a problem selling their home and moving here. But when they move here and they get to Charleston and they realize that we have 3.6 months worth of inventory across the board, it's a little bit of a game changer for them. Plus, homes are just more expensive here than in many other areas of the country. Now, let's obviously exclude California and some other areas from that statement. But month supply of inventory, we still nationally are struggling with inventory. Now, I think perhaps the most exciting part of the market right now is that, and I truly believe this, I don't think that a ton of buyers out there think we're getting a great deal, per se, on the home that they buy based on the price. You know, it's not like they're beating up the seller and they're getting a home for 20% off fair market value. That very, very, very rarely happens. Those are outliers. Those are extenuating circumstances. So I don't think that they feel they're getting a great deal on the price, but they are getting a great deal on the interest rate. And that's important when it comes to affordability and the ability to buy more and pay the same amount. The mortgage rates are the second lowest in recorded history. We're at 3.4% right now. The lowest was 3.35, and that was like January of 2013. So the fact that interest rates are incredibly low and the fact that inventory is low and demand is high and prices continue to creep up tells me that taking all those things into consideration, and then of course looking at something like unemployment, where we're at 4.9%, you remove the people that are unemployable for whatever reason. Is unemployment really going to get that much better? Is it really going to increase dramatically? Remember January or so of 2010 when it was at 10%? We're less than half that now. I just don't see it getting too much lower. Back in January of 08, it was at 5%. So you take that, you take inflation, you take GDP, which is somewhat stagnant, but consumer spending is good. I truly think that nationally we are primed for a bit of a shift. And I think we really have to separate the shift that I'm talking about. Really, just let's define that first. When I say shift, I do not mean that prices are all of a sudden going to start plummeting. What I mean is that the rate at which homes have been appreciating is unsustainable. At some point in time, that's going to have to start to level off. You can't just continue to have your home increase in 7 to 10 to 12% in value, in some cases 20% in value, for a long period of time. It's just not going to happen. So at some point, we are going to have to return to a balanced market, and I think that's what we're going to start seeing. You know, if you think about it as if it's what's a good analogy, like a wave forming. You know, you've got the waters that you got the wave that crashed, right? The market crashed. Then the waters started to recede. It started to build a new wave. And now I think we are approaching the crest of that wave. We're going to see that play out for a little while. Let's see what happens with the election, obviously. Let's see what happened with interest rates. But if interest rates go up, and if new construction starts to really do its job of filling some inventory in the much-needed areas, like the entry-level market, then I do think we are going to start seeing a balanced market. And so one of the big questions people always have is, especially this time of year, what should we do? Should we list now, or should we list our home in, March or April of next year? That answer is 100% dependent upon the market that you're in within Charleston. And what I mean by that is separating the entry-level market from the move-up market from the luxury market. The entry-level market is still red hot. It is absolutely a seller's market. If you're a buyer, you're going to have a tough time. It's challenging to get, first of all, a good deal on a property. Second of all, to get the property that you want without losing it to another buyer that might be willing to pay more. And then, the move-up market, all those people that own that entry-level market home are benefiting from those buyers and that competition. And then when they go to move up, they're seeing a pretty good amount of competition, but we are starting to see some of that inventory sit for a little longer on the market. We're starting to see more homes get added to the mix. And then, of course, the luxury market is a market that is not 100% dependent upon the owner's necessity for a home. The luxury market can often be driven by speculative purchases, second homes. Maybe we buy something out at the Isle of Palms and it's a rental property. So the luxury market in national terms is already starting to see a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a slowdown. Price gains are just, in some areas, stagnant. They've kind of reached that ceiling. They're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And I think that when it comes to Charleston, we really need to look at our stats and, of course, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt in that Charleston's a fantastic market. We have very good economics here locally. We have every reason to believe that our market will continue to remain strong, at least in the short term, but we have to be aware of some of the factors that might impact our market locally. We have external forces that can change our local market. And so that's why I bring those things up. And so I really do feel as though nationally we are primed to start to see a shift. And in some areas of Charleston, I can tell you this, we are starting to see some inventory sit on the market. We're starting to see people that really do need to start reducing their price. And we're starting to see that those homes that are hitting the market for 2% more than the home that sold down the street a month ago sometimes aren't getting those new prices. Sometimes we really have reached some stagnation in some areas. So I want to talk about this further. I want to talk about Charleston stats when I come back. Again, if you have questions, comments, you have a story to share, give me a call here in the studio, 843-556-1250. That's the number here. If you want to call me personally off air and talk about real estate, my cell phone number is 843-345-1273, or go to listingsincharleston.com. Don't forget that 2.4% listing commission to sell your home. And John Quincy, I love this exit music, man. Let's keep more of this up. All right, stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. WTMA! You're listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I'm your host, Brian Beatty. John Quincy and I were just cracking up over the break with that Ace of Base, I Saw the Sign exit music. He said, yeah, I saw the sign, the Brian Beatty team real estate sign. Just couldn't get the joke quickly out enough on our outro on the last segment. But anyways, welcome back. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show as we talk about real estate here in the Charleston area. If you're just joining us, we just talked about the national real estate market and some of the things that I think you need to be aware of, some things that are cause for celebration, and then some things that are some things we need to watch out for. You know, really, we're primed economically, in my opinion, for a little bit of a shift, and I think that shift is going to come in the form of interest rates going up. I really do believe that, and who in the heck knows when that's going to be? I don't know. More than likely after the election. But a lot of people are asking me right now, Brian, when should I put my home on the market? Should I put it on now and wait, even though school is now back in session? Is there really demand for homes right now, or should I just wait until next spring? And that's when everybody else puts their home on the market, and that's when buyers buy, right? Well, I think a lot of agents have coached people to believe that over time. And let's be honest here, there are more buyers in April than there are in August. But guess what else there's more of in April? Sellers. There's more competition at the very beginning of spring than there is right now. Who are you competing with right now? Let's think about that for a second. If you're going to put your home on the market, who is your competition? Your competition are the other people that choose to list their home right now for a variety of reasons. And it's also the people that have been on the market for several months, either that listed in the spring or summer months this year and that have not sold yet. Usually those are people that were a little ambitious on their price. They tried it for a few months, it didn't work, and now they've got to get real on their price. They've got to do a price reduction more than likely, or they have to repair their home, or something needs to happen in order for them to sell their house. But the people that listed in the spring and summer that sold, they're gone. That inventory is no longer existent. And so you're going to start to see some of these homes come off the market because the seller's going to say, it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. I'm not going to be able to get my price. So let's try again next year. I think it puts a seller in a really good position overall because, frankly, the buyer demand doesn't slow down all that much. Yes, we have missed a portion of the market that wanted to be in their home and settled before school starts. But, that's just for the people that are moving in to Charleston. Not everybody wants that. Some people, if they're living here locally, want to move and be settled before school starts. But some of them can't control that. Again, as we were talking about, the entry-level market is still red hot. They're not going to have an issue with selling their house. But if they move into the move-up market, they might have a little bit of a tougher time buying a home than they thought. So it really all depends on the price range and the area that they're in. But I do think that overall, it's still a great time to put your home on the market. You're going to see those people start to fall off that can't sell right now for a variety of reasons, mostly because they just can't get their price. Sometimes they're just a little stubborn saying, no, I don't need to sell, so I'm just going to pull it off and I'll put it back on next year. And it's interesting because if you look at the numbers, because we were just talking about, the housing market, we were talking about the month supply of inventory. And, by the way, if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to stop me at any time. I'm here to handle your calls and talk with you about real estate. Remember, this is talk radio. So feel free to give me a call in the studio. 843-556-1250 is the number here. 843-556-1250. But we were talking about month supply of inventory and how it's frankly dangerously low and getting lower in many segments of our market locally and nationally. But if you look at the move up and the luxury markets, they're starting to slow down a little bit. They've had a lot of people, think about all the people at the height of the market that bought a rental property on the Isle of Palms or in Wild Dunes or at Folly Beach and how quickly those prices went up. I mean, if you follow the pricing history on some of these properties, like as an example, some of the oceanfront condos in Wild Dunes, those prices are ridiculous. I mean, over a 3 or 4 year period, we're talking about well over $1 million in growth. Some of these, like the Ocean Club condos in Wild Dunes, I mean, they were approaching, almost $2 million on some of those. Now they're on the market for, a little over $1 million. Some of them are. They still have, they haven't recovered. They haven't even gotten close to recovering from the height of the market prices. Same thing goes with some of those large homes that people built in 03, 04, 05 that were the 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom, 5,000 square foot home on Isle of Palms that is generating over $100,000 a year in monthly rental or in annual rental income, gross, not net. But their payments through the roof because they built it for an exorbitant amount of money, or they bought it for an exorbitant amount of money, and it's just not worth anywhere close to what they have in it. So they just have to continue to rent it out. So we're going to see more and more of those properties hit the market as the market improves. But as those properties hit the market, there's just not as many buyers in that market as there are obviously in the entry-level market. And that's why you're starting to see some of those markets stagnate a little bit. It's because new listings are outpacing the buyers. Interestingly, that's certainly not the case in the entry-level market. I think part of that has to do with new construction. New construction has been focusing, and it's no secret, and I've talked about this before. In fact, I wouldn't say a heated argument, but I had a very interesting discussion, we'll put it that way, with somebody on Facebook about what's going on with new construction in the entry-level price range. And I said that they're focusing on where the money is, which is the move-up buyer. In Charleston, as a buyer, you can't expect to live in Mount Pleasant, south of the Isle of Palms connector, and live in a brand new single-family home for $250,000. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. And that doesn't mean that, shame on you for not being able to afford more. It just means that the land is so expensive that the builder can't make sense out of putting a new construction property on it and making any money whatsoever. So that's why we're focusing on all this, sprawl, all this stuff, getting closer to Alwyndaw in North Mount Pleasant, or, look at Somerville, look at Dorchester County in general, look at Berkeley County, really taking advantage of all the people moving to that area. And in those instances, they're adding more entry-level homes and inventory for sale. But nationally, over the past several years, basically on a historical level at this point, we've been adding a little over 1 million new construction homes a year to the market. This year, it's somewhere around 750. Last year, it was like $720,000. So we're down 25-30% in terms of new construction inventory. It's just not getting there quickly enough. And then, of course, you have areas like Charleston saying, hey, this continues. We're going to put a moratorium on you. No more development. And then, we're in the same place where we've been in for the past few years, which is that, the sellers are going to continue to benefit from price appreciation because it's a seller-driven market, and so on and so forth. And so if you are considering selling your house, I do think that now is a better time, if it works for you and your own personal circumstances, versus spring of next year. Now, could I be wrong in that? Yes. Having said that, I do think that based on what's going on nationally, that it's reasonable to assume that people are going to be paying more money for a home next year than they are this year. And we have to remain aware of affordability, because that really is kind of one of the big issues here in our market. You've got rent that's going up by 15% a year, but wages are going up by 11% a year or so for the people that are renting. So it's becoming more and more expensive or expenses are creeping up. So it's becoming more and more expensive to rent property. People are getting further away from their ability to then go and purchase a home, which is why you've seen this phenomenon of people living in their 20s that are, sharing a house together because rent's so expensive. You got 3 or 4 guys living in the same house, or 3 or 4 girls living in the same house. And economically, it makes sense. And then you've got all the people that move in with their parents, which I'm sure the parents love right now, so they can save money. But again, it all really kind of goes down to affordability. And in our market, affordability, it's still there. Homes are still affordable. And of course, that's because interest rates are low. But if you look at our market overall, the median sales price is up again 5.5% this year. New listings are only up 3.5%. Pending sales are up 12.5%. Closings are up 7%. So everything is shifting even more toward a seller's market, at least on an overall perspective as it relates to the Charleston Tri-County area. Let me just read off the Tri-County stats for Charleston so you guys have an idea of what's going on in Dorchester, Berkeley, and Charleston County. So in Dorchester, and I'm just going to read off the single-family detached statistics. If you want info on condos and townhomes or vacant land, give me a call at 843-345-1273, and I'll tell you what's going on. And if you want an analysis on your property, I do that at no cost, no obligation. You can either call my cell or go to listingsincharleston.com. Happy to help you with that. But let's read through this really quickly before we take another break. Dorchester County, new listings are up 2%, closings are up 7%, the median sales price is up 7%. It's going to take you 57 days to sell your home, and it's going to sell for 97% of the asking price. In Berkeley County, new listings are down a little over 1%. Closings are up 14%. The median sales price is up 7%. And then it's going to take you 56 days to sell your home, and it's going to sell for 97.5% of asking price. Now, in Charleston County, new listings are up 5%, and closings are only up 2%. The median sales price is up 7.5%. It's going to take you 60 days to sell your home, and your home's going to sell for 96% of its asking price. Now, remember, these generalized stats really have nothing to do with your personal home, because the stats for a $3.5 million home on South Battery are going to be a lot different from a $150,000 home in North Charleston. So if you want specific information on your home and the market that you are within, then please feel free to give me a call personally. 843-345-1273 is my cell, or you can go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And don't forget, if you are going to sell your home, from now until the end of the year, I'm offering that 2.4% listing commission to sell your home. We're going to save you 20% right off the bat in listing commission. And then, if you use our local lender, he'll pay up to $5,000 for the buyer's closing costs for your home. And then when you go and buy your new home, he'll pay $5,000 or 1% of the purchase price towards your new home. So all kinds of ways to save money on the Brian Beatty team. Stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. I always like to take just a little bit of time every show and say thank you to those of you that tune into this program. I continue to learn more and more as I continue this program that people really do tune in quite often and rely on the information within it to base some decisions in real estate, whether just buying, selling, or investing, or deciding when to put their home on the market or when to buy something. And so for that, I say thank you very much. I appreciate the support from the clients and from the agents that tune into this program. And if I can help you in any way, shape, or form, I always say this is an informative program. This is educational in nature. This is not a sales pitch. This is not designed for me to get your business. It's designed for you to understand the market so that you can better prepare, so that when you come time to buy, sell, or invest, you're a little bit more knowledgeable and educated than the next guy. And you can do a good job for yourself and with your agent's help to buy, sell, or invest in a home and do a good job with that. So if I can help you with anything, feel free to give me a call, 843-345-1273. That's 843-345-1273. Or go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com for more information about myself, my team, our experience, what we do, what we've sold, the 2.4% listing commission to sell your home, all that fun stuff. Now, I'm going to get into some advances in technology in real estate, and I have a feeling this was probably going to spark a few calls. So if you want to call into the studio, the number here is 843-556-1250, 843-556-1250. All right, so if you look at like Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and all of the information they provide these days, whether it be photos, video, pricing history, taxes, school rankings, opinion of value, info on comparable properties that have sold, mortgage payment, walk score, aerial maps, you name it. The information is out there these days for buyers to use in their search for a new home, or if you're an owner, to potentially determine what your home is worth so that you can sell your home. And it's obvious that in this day and age that information is just readily available and at their fingertips. Enough so that when somebody calls about a piece of property and they get put in touch with a real estate agent, let's say that agent does not represent the seller, that buyer is going to know so much more about the property than the agent that they're calling, that sometimes that phone call in and of itself is kind of fruitless, excuse me. But let's talk about the information that real estate agents now have at their fingertips about you, the buyer or the seller, once you inquire about a specific property or register on a website. And let me just add a little disclaimer here. Some of the stuff I'm going to tell you is going to freak you out a little bit. So let's say that you go online and you see a property and you like it and you want more information. And so, you say, send me more information or schedule a showing. I'm going to tell you about my system. And not all agents, obviously not all agents, a very, very, I'd say less than 1%, maybe 2% in the entire market use the system that I use, partly because it's costly, but partly because it just takes an understanding of how to do all this. But let's say that you register on Zillow and you see one of my listings and you want to take a look at it, you want more information. That information that you input, your phone number, your email address, your name, is going to come to a system that I pay for. It's not my system. I pay for it. And it's going to take your email address, and it's going to take your phone number, it's going to take your name, and it's going to do a search through white pages and all sorts of social media, so that let's say that let's say it's 11:30 at night, because we've got a lot of late night shoppers that look at real estate, and they send an inquiry request, and I wake up in the morning and it's 6:30 in the morning, and sitting with my daughter on the couch watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and I'm looking at my new leads for the day, and your information pops up in this dashboard. The system, having searched social media, is going to show me more than just your phone number, your email address, and your name. It will have searched social media, and I'll get to see a picture of you, your Facebook profile picture. I'll then get to see what your interests are based on what you've put in Facebook. I mean, is that not a little creepy? Yeah, it is. I understand that. And I mean, feel free to call in. Tell me what your thoughts are on this. 843-556-1250. But think about it this way. Let's say you're selling your home and you hire me to sell your home, and I'm going to that extent to learn more about the potential buyer for your property, even before I've had a conversation with them. That's when you, as a seller, start to get excited about some of this stuff because of the extra mile that I've taken to extrapolate information about this buyer before we're even having a conversation. And would you not agree, by the way, that if it's my job to not only market your property, but then convert interested buyers into actual business for us to help you buy or to help you sell your home, my conversation with an engineer is going to be a lot different from my conversation with an artist. And I know that sounds kind of crazy and probably makes some people uncomfortable in terms of, the information that I can get out of people. But again, it's my job to not only create exposure, but it's also my job to capitalize on that exposure. And once that marketing works and they respond and they are on the hook, it's my job to reel them in. And I'm going to use as much information as I have available to do that. And so there you have it. I mean, when you go online and you register on some of these websites, people know a lot more about you than you think. So clearly, it's not just about the marketing. It's about two things, in my opinion: speed to the lead, and then the conversion of that lead into an actual showing, and then hopefully a contract. If you look at the agent response times for text, phone call, or email, on average, and this was a study done by Baylor University a little while ago, but they said that an agent's going to respond within 30 minutes to a text message. They're going to respond within an hour and 45 minutes to a phone call, and they're going to respond within 5 hours and 35 minutes to an email. And by the way, they're only going to respond 45% of the time to your text. They're going to respond 71% of the time to your phone call, and they're only going to respond 51% of the time to your email. And so that brings me to another point: is all these automated responses to these inquiries. Really one of the biggest struggles in the real estate industry right now is our ability to convert leads into actual business. And automated emails have been around for a long time, but now they've really gotten pretty innovative with it. In that, they're going to construct the email based on the type of inquiry that you sent, and they're going to send text messages that are from the system. And, let's say you're on one of my websites and you're searching for properties. I have like an AI chat function that will chat with you, and you're going to give some information, at least enough for me to then give you a call, and it's going to appear as though someone's actually chatting with you. It's just a computer system. I mean, it's kind of crazy these days, and how far they've taken things to convert business. But we are in the tech age. We are in the information age. Real estate agents are no longer the gatekeeper of the information. We are becoming more of an advisor now than we are the provider of data. So we have to understand that. We have to understand that for us, it's not just about hiring a real estate agent with the best marketing plan that's going to create the most impressions possible through all different types of media to find the end user, but it's also about responding to their inquiries quickly in an intelligent way so that we can then convert those interested buyers into actual contracts. That's what a lot of agents miss. They focus on the glitz and the flash and the here are all the things I do, and they forget to talk to people about the process associated with getting that online shopper into your home and to buy it. That's what I focus on a lot with my clients, and it's working very well. I will say we've done 115 transactions this year. We're on pace to sell about a home every 36 hours. And so if that's something that I can help you with, I got to take one more break. We'll talk a little bit more about this. I do want to talk about appraisals for a minute. But feel free to call me in the studio, 843-556-1250. Or if you want to call me personally, 843-345-1273 is my cell phone number. And again, the website address is listingsincharleston.com for more information on the 2.4% listing commission and anything else you can find on that website. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Lowcountry real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. We've covered a lot this morning about real estate here in the Charleston area. We've talked about the national market, the local market. We've talked about some advancements in technology within real estate, your ability to search for it, and for me, as a real estate agent, to learn more about you once you actually register on one of those sites, and in an effort to convert your inquiry into actual business. And so I do want to finish that discussion really quickly because there's two other things that are really, I think, becoming kind of the future of real estate, if you will. You have some companies out there that have really started opening the doors to some showing innovations, in that some companies are already kind of innovating the showing process by allowing buyers to schedule and view homes without a real estate agent using like a smart lockbox, which only has a code good for 30 minutes at a time, and allows buyers to see the home whenever they want, even if it's vacant, with or without a real estate agent. So my question for you, for those that are listening, we got a few minutes left. Would you be comfortable with that? Would you be comfortable with somebody walking through your home without a real estate agent, giving them a code and letting them walk through the property? Is it going to be your responsibility to put cameras throughout the house? Is it only for vacant homes? Would you do that if your home was staged? I certainly wouldn't. I would not be comfortable with that. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it. Maybe there are some people out there that have a different side of the story. The number here is 843-556-1250. Feel free to give me a call. But I can tell you this, I sure as heck would not be comfortable, and I would not be comfortable if I was representing a seller either, because I think it just opens the door for things like people that just shouldn't be in the house. We're a long ways away, in my opinion, from letting some Joe Schmo off the street just get a quick 30-minute showing without first having a conversation with either a listing agent or the owner. I truly believe that there needs to be some sort of safeguard here. We can't just have anybody and everybody walking into homes. The more showings you have, the more damage you have, the more opportunity for theft you have. I mean, I get it to an extent, and I think that overall it's a great idea. And I think we might get there eventually. But I think that we really need some more technology first in order to make sure that the investment is protected. The investment meaning your home. And so here's my last example. Transparent offer management solutions. What do I mean by that? I mean, you have all these companies now that have kind of taken things to the next level. You, as a buyer, are now able to make an offer online with or without an agent. You just put in the price, kind of like eBay, and the terms of your deal you're proposing are sent directly to the seller. The seller will review it and either obviously accept it, counter it, or reject it. But the status of each offer is displayed on the website for everybody to see. So what do you think about that? I mean, really, give me a call. We got a few minutes left. But I don't like the idea of it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, what if a seller wants to maintain some privacy? What if when that buyer agent's called and they say, have you had any offers in hand? I get to say something like, well, we don't have any official offers in hand at the moment, but as I'm sure you know, especially since your clients seem like they like it, we've got a few other people that have shown a pretty good amount of interest in the home. And so hearing that story, the agent and or the buyer might feel more inclined or compelled to make a more serious offer. Or in many cases, like I've been in this year, they offer close to the asking price because they're afraid of losing the deal. If everything becomes transparent, then I think it obviously gives the buyer more control. I don't see how this is really that. I don't think this is very beneficial for the seller, quite frankly. Number two, you could just before you declined it, before let's say you decline an offer, right? Especially if you're now motivated to sell more so than you were 6 months ago. You've already got that on record on the website. So maybe you listed your home at $500,000 and, you declined $479,000 because it came in on the third day on the market. But now you've been on the market for 5 months and you're ready to sell your home. And so you're going to put your home at $475,000. You're going to actually price it below the offer that you got that was a little bit higher. So, of course, now buyers are going to look at that, and what are they going to say? Wow, they must be motivated if they're selling it for less than what they knew a buyer was willing to pay for it. I wonder what's going on there. And then immediately it has an impact on your ability to potentially sell your home for more money. But I think ultimately too many things can go wrong throughout the course of a transaction. So for us not to provide counsel to our clients, and for us not to learn more about the buyer and their situation and their wants and differentiating between, whether is it the price that's more important? Is it the terms of the contract that are more important? I do think that having a conversation with an agent or with a buyer, there's just something that will never replace that. Yes, we can systematize things as much as we want, but I think that removing that element of interaction between the agents or between the buyer and the seller, I think can cause some issues. I'll give you a perfect example before we go off air here. When you list your home in the Charleston area, you're going to use a third-party company called Showing Time. And this is a third-party company that outsources the process, that we outsource the process of scheduling showings to, so that, if an agent wants to show my listing, they don't have to call me. They call this call center. The call center will call the seller and say, hey, we have an agent that wants to see it tomorrow between 1 and 2 o'clock. Is that okay? The seller says yes. The call center gets back to the other agent. The listing agent's totally removed. And so that's part of the problem is that, if I want to go and show 5 homes today to somebody, I don't have to talk to any of those listing agents. All I have to do is go online and say, here are the properties I want to see, here are the times I want to see it, and that's it. And then I'll find out later whether they're confirmed or not. But the issue for us as listing agents is that because that process is automated, we have no idea who's coming into your house. So even though that's a great process, we have now necessitated having conversations with buyer agents before the property is shown, because the last thing a seller wants on a 2 o'clock on a Saturday is to leave their home for an hour and a half to find out that the buyer walking through it isn't actually going to buy it because they're thinking of retiring here in 3 years, and they just want to know what homes look like in this price range. So lots of different information that we can provide you with as it relates to selling your home, the advancements in technology, and of course the market in general. So if we can help you in any way, shape, or form, give me a call, 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA, and have a great weekend.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.